Hello there, Servum17 once again. This is my Castlevania Lords of Shadows 2 Revelations DLC video walkthrough. This is going to be on Prince of Darkness difficulty, which is New Game Plus, and you will inherit all of your upgrades that you got on your first playthrough, but they take them all away from you, so you have to reallocate them. And I forgot about this because it's been a long time since I've been playing Castlevania, so I was incredibly rusty when I did my first playthrough. And at the beginning of this walkthrough, because I was trying to do it quite quickly, get it knocked out so I could get back to Dark Souls, because it's kind of all-encompassing and all I really want to play at this moment, I completely forgot about that facet of the game design. So for the first few instances of this DLC, I'm not going to have any of my abilities junctioned, which is kind of dumb, really, because you can't do Prince of Darkness on any other mode but New Game Plus, so unless you're looking for a challenge run and you're looking to get some extra life out of your DLC, why the hell would you not give yourself the abilities? It just seems kind of pointless. But this is the first fight of the DLC. It's against the armoured mace guys, sorry, and he has a couple of minions. So a couple of things to bear in mind. He's armoured until you hit him with your Chaos power, which on here is called Igneous, I believe. And the ice one is called Glacius. Is it the Crucerium, his weapon is called? So you want to break the armour. After you break the armour, everything you do will do damage. So I like to focus on one thing and just get rid of it. And I always try and aim for the one who gives me the most trouble. And then while I'm killing him, I'm looking either for the counterattack or I'm looking at his friends to see if I have to counterattack them. And aside from being rusty, you know, it's not too bad. The DLC itself costs about, I think it was £5 when I bought it, which is brilliant for me, because £5 for DLC, it doesn't happen often, and this is better than most DLCs that I've played. So, you know, I was really happy with the purchase price, because they could have very easily asked for double, and it almost makes me think that it's kind of an apology for some parts of the main game being kind of dog shitty. And it's funny too that I think this is more interesting, more endearing, and better level design than the main game, for the most. In fact, I wish you followed Alucard in the main game and the DLC was Robert Carlyle, because I just do not give a fuck about Dracula, man. It just doesn't interest me at all. And this guy's just so much more interesting, and it makes it feel a lot more like Castlevania, because you never go to the future in this. You're always kind of in this castle, I believe. And this is where Castlevania really shines for me. It's, you know, it's not Resident Evil science labs and trains and shit. It's this. It's really nice architecture and, you know, inexcusable loading rooms and what have you. Slightly off topic here though, guys. I edited out a sequence there where my controller disconnected and it pauses the game. And I'm using a wired controller because they're my favourite. I like wireless, I like the convenience of wireless, I just hate batteries. I hate everything about batteries, and I know right now that somewhere in like a DARPA lab or someplace underground, they've made a battery that can power the sun forever. But they'd never sell it you because they can keep selling you Poundland ones that you have to keep buying because they're fucking useless. And it really winds me up, because there's nothing worse than having to change batteries, and at some point you run out of remotes to steal them from, and alarm clocks and fire alarms and wherever else you're pulling them from, you know, pacemakers everywhere, and it just winded me up so much, so I decided to get a wired pad. And the wired pad is lighter, it doesn't have that battery pack thing that fucks with your fingers. Everything about it is really nice, and there's less input delay as well. Input delay on wired pads to wireless is very nominal, but it's noticeable if you're interested in frame data, if you're interested in just the most precise experience ever. If you're that kind of person, you're probably already playing on a monitor, on like an 18-inch monitor, because then you get less delay as well. But, you know, I'm not really going to go too deep with that. But the one thing that I will say about the wired ones, which has happened to me twice now, and the two I've owned in my, you know, 360 career-esque thing, the cable goes. And I am not heavy on my controller cable. I don't swing it around. I don't necessarily tug it. I don't pull it. I don't have animals to do it. I don't have small children pulling on it. The only thing I can think of is the rare occasions when my mum will come into my room and she'll move stuff. But even then, my mum, she might be a winder when it comes to cables, which I'm not even going to get into how much I dislike people who wind cables. but not necessarily the people that do it, the people that do it to my cables. Because, you know, cables were not designed to be wound and wrapped around and contorted that way. That's the reason why they falter and fail after a certain amount of time. And this is probably one of the instances why mine are failing, but the cable just goes, and it's not that it's loose, it's that there's some kind of connection that if you move too suddenly with it, it just temporarily disconnects. And it's happening a lot. It's happening frequently now, so it's about time I opened the pad that a subscriber got for me, which I've had for a while. And it's going to feel just like Jesus in my hands, but until this one dies completely, I'm going to try and get the best out of it, because its analogs have got completely dead zones. They do not move. You know, the rubber on the left analog is so worn down, it feels like, you know, some kind of disenfranchised porn star, and it's just a sad, sorry sight. But this area here I really like, because I think it looks visually very nice, and when I come back to this game after playing Dark Souls for a long stead, I'm reminded that Dark Souls kind of looks like shit. You know, some parts of that game are absolutely beautiful, some parts of it are crushingly ugly, and this game is really nice. And I know they're two completely different kinds of games, and this is a much, you know, more shallow and linear experience, but it does look damn nice. But two things that wind me up with it when I've not played it for a while. One is the camera. The camera is really close in this game, and I only realise how close it is when I play a game where it's not up my ass. So I get to the point where it's tricky when you've not played in a while, because you're not used to having to see a giant wardrobe of a person always down 1/3 of the screen. And the camera sensitivity. A buddy of mine who's made a walkthrough for this as well, I actually watched it earlier once I'd done my own just to see his thoughts on it. A guy called Big Benedict. I talk about him a lot because he's one of the most interesting people on YouTube for me personally, because he's got integrity, and not a lot of people do, and his channel suffers because of it, like a lot of people who don't want to do it the easy way, you know, to try and build a channel, but he still keeps that integrity. And his pet peeve in all these kind of games is when the camera doesn't have a reset function, which if you don't know what that is and you're not aware of these kind of games, or you're just new here and you've not really played them, it defaults the camera to where it starts in any neutral position, which is usually behind your character looking straight ahead at a decent distance. And to do it in a lot of games, you push in the right analog. I personally don't care for that at all. Don't miss it, don't need it, don't want it. Doesn't really bother me. I'm not the type of person who uses the reset function that often. And the reason for that is I play every game on the highest sensitivity, and usually that allows me to spin the camera almost as fast as a camera resets, which is something I've never needed. But in this game, the highest camera sensitivity is like an owl with arthritis. It is literally so slow, it doesn't even work. And there are times when I feel myself turning the camera more and more, and I'm waiting for the camera to get where I need it to be. And you should never notice these things. It's like good editing. You know, good editing is editing you don't see. You know, it's the unsung hero. And if a camera has a poor sensitivity, it is incredibly difficult to use when somebody's used to the higher sensitivities. This puzzle here, I was just checking the rooms to make sure that I'd not missed anything, or if there was anything that I could pick up or do before I did it. The timing on a lot of these timed puzzles is very tight. It's almost too tight, I think, because it really demands you to move as fast as the character can move, and there's a bit of a beginner's trap on these sequences, and that is the wolf. You would think transforming into the wolf would enable you to move quicker, but it doesn't. It just enables you to jump farther. That's literally all it does. And this right here is just literally going to wolf form and then go to the other square, release it, go back into wolf form, go to the next square. There's two instances of this, and if you do them both correct, you get a little prize from the, is it the Chupacabra? The dude with the terrible voice actor, who, why this series brings that dude back, I'll have no idea. It's like a logical conclusion to the little imps from Golden Axe that used to nick your shit when you slept around the campfires. And I just, I don't understand it too much myself. But, you know, it is what it is. But, yeah, just to finish up on the topic, I don't understand why games don't have user functionality like camera sensitivity and camera reset and things like that. I'm hoping with the next generation of consoles they're going to increase the amount of options we have, because luckily for a player like myself, it's already become a paradigm in menus to give you the ability to invert the y-axis, which a lot of people might be thinking, why would you do that? And I'm not even too sure why. I think it stems from the fact I've been gaming for a long time, and a lot of the early games, especially on the PC, had mandatory inverted flight controls. And when you're a young person, you absorb things, you don't even realise you're absorbing them, because everything is knowledge, everything is wisdom and power, and you just like a big old sponge that's just drinking it all in. And I think it's one of the things that just stuck with my brain. But most games have that. They enable you to swap it, and if they don't, there's this lovely feature on the 360 menus where you can have your presets set, your preferences to inverted, and games that don't let you invert the camera will automatically be inverted, which to me is like witchcraft. I have no idea how that works, but I'm hoping that that changes with everything. You know, I'm hoping they allow us to just have all the customization in everything, because I think it's about time. Like on PC, when you can customize so much stuff, and then console, when you do get an inferior version of the game, you'd think they'd give you more options to kind of, you know, mitigate that difference, but they really don't. And I don't know if it's laziness, I don't know how difficult this is to program. I would love to have a discussion with a games developer and just lay down some of this type of stuff, and hopefully in the future, as my channel grows and grows and I'm able to, you know, incorporate dev teams and maybe getting review copies and things, and being able to speak to people who are in positions of power in some kind of company, I might be able to get those kind of answers for you folks, because as it stands, you know, I'm just kind of pissing in the wind with my own theories, and that's definitely something I want to move towards, but I should probably talk about these fights, because you're going to be doing a lot of them. So these are the jailers, and these are the minions. That's the name of this chapter, and you have to kill 3 of them, and then you're going to fight a special one. And for the most, they're very simple, but one of the features of this game that I really don't like, that I forget about when I've not played it in a while, is just how every single enemy, be them tiny things to huge things, have this ability to completely poise through everything you do and smack you. And it's in a lot of games, but usually you can interrupt them, and in this game you physically can't interrupt anything at all. There's probably 1 or 2 moves that'll do it, but I bet the special ones, and they're probably ones that have build-up, so what's the point in them? You know, too much wind-up, you get hit anyway. So, you know, when you've not played in a while and you don't remember what fighting these enemies is like, I get hit a lot, because I'm focusing on somebody else making sure I don't get hit from behind, and he's just laughing at me and smacking me as I'm smacking him. And it's one of those things where the optimum way to fight these enemies is to hit them until they smack you, parry them, and kill them. And I think I don't even have the counter move yet, because I haven't bought it, because I'm assuming I have it, so my counters aren't even doing the damage that they should be doing. Because my favourite aspect of this game, and I think the most effective combat strategy, is to just counter everything. And because they relax the parry timing on this game so much, sometimes you don't even mean to parry and you will, and other times it would have been a parry in a game that, you know, rewards strict timing, but in this you get hit because the timing is so just very bizarre. Like, this couldn't be any farther from Dark Souls 2 if it tried when it comes to parrying. Because that game has just one of the trickiest parries in any game I've played. And it's for one reason and one reason only. It's not the timing on the attacks, it's the fact that the parry has a build-up. And any parry that when you press the button and it takes it a second or 2 to start and then actually have the bit that parries is a bad parry in my eyes. But thank you for watching, guys. I will see you in part 2, and we'll continue Alucard's journey to get these powers back. You know, we didn't even know this was happening. We were too busy sleeping. But yeah, thank you, and you take care now.